You people, how you doing today? In this video, we're going to discuss how to reduce side effects and improve outcomes while on semaglutide and tirzepatide. So semaglutide, also known as Ozempic and or Wegovy, and tirzepatide, also known as Monjaro or zepbound. Okay, so we should just use the generic names today, semaglutide or tirzepatide. So how do we improve our outcomes and reduce side effect profile? First of all, what are these? These are GLP-1 class drugs and used for the purposes of this video, which is just talk about how they reduce insulin resistance and lead to weight loss. Okay. What is insulin resistance, you ask? Insulin resistance occurs when the cells in your muscles, fat, and liver don't respond well to insulin and can't easily uptake the glucose from your blood. Okay. Glucose can't enter the cells as easily, so it builds up in the blood. This is when you get the high blood sugars that lead to the high hemoglobin A1C and or high fasting insulin, all three. Okay, what does this do? Causes weight gain and or obesity, future development of prediabetes and or full-blown diabetes, and eventually even heart disease. Okay, enter semaglutide and tirzepatide. These are once a week subcutaneous injections, meaning in the fat, usually around the abdomen, and they gradually help the body develop insulin sensitivity. Okay, that's the opposite of insulin resistance. Now you're sensitive to insulin, which is what you want, and in some ways it resets the whole system. Okay, so how this works is okay, we have a loading dose, and then every 4 to 5 weeks we increase the dose a little bit. Okay, so in the beginning, the loading dose everybody starts is just to for the body to get used to the drug. Then the second month is actually the therapeutic dose for both of them. Okay, so usually by about week 6 of this medication, people notice that the food chatter has reduced, meaning they don't think about food all the time, and therefore they also reduce their snacking, and they also notice that their portion sizes of their meals drop, so they're eating less of their main meals. This is how we drop the body fat percent, okay? Just the portion size and the snacking reduction. An added bonus is reduction of inflammation. Usually around the abdomen, we lose that body fat there first, and there's a lot of inflammatory cytokines with that body fat in particular. So as we reduce it, there's a lot of inflammation gone, okay? We also notice lower cholesterol levels, especially LDL and triglycerides. We also see an improvement in mood, energy, improvement in sleep, and self-esteem. Okay, this is not so much during, but maybe after month 3 and 4, you'll see this. Now, here's the problem: the side effects. Some are just not good at all. Okay, and some you can push through. The big main one usually is the abdominal discomfort, especially the following 2 days after the shot. People will notice they have some nausea, some queasiness in the gut, and it varies for people. Some people it's something like it was a little uncomfortable. I took some ginger capsules or some ginger lozenges and I was fine. Some people, this was uncomfortable. I don't like it. Okay, and there may be a solution to that. So we'll discuss the deficiencies later and I'll let you know. Number two, constipation. This is a classic with these drugs. Again, varies for different people. Um, Magnesium may help with that. We'll discuss that later. Fatigue. Okay, this can be due to just the less caloric intake of carbohydrate. Just that alone may be a bit of a shocker to the body, and that reset right there can cause a lot of fatigue. Imagine low carb, right? Because now the body has to go harvest fat for energy, and that's more painstaking for the body. So you are going to feel the fatigue from that. Some people are low in iron, or maybe borderline anemic, or full blown anemic. I've seen it, and now they're even more tired because of that. And then low vitamin B's can cause it, and also low vitamin D's. So we got to check those labs, okay? And the fourth one is loss of muscle or muscle wasting, okay? And this can result to the body burning, actually results from the body burning muscle for energy because we're not eating carbohydrates. So we really want the body to burn fat, not muscle. So we got to watch that. So, how do we do this? Prevention, I believe, is the way to go. Most providers, before they write you this drug, are gonna check your labs. They should check your CBC, your CMP, which is liver function, kidney function, and fasting glucose. They should also check your lipid profile, obviously, to make sure see what your cholesterol numbers were before you started. A hemoglobin A1C, which is one marker for insulin resistance. You see, what are your blood sugars doing? Hemoglobin A1C will indicate that, and the glucose on the CMP. Okay. Fasting insulin is an added one. Not everybody checks that, but some clinicians do. It's also a third marker to indicate kind of where on the insulin resistance number line you are. Okay, the higher that number is, the more insulin resistant you are. Okay, vitamin D, I believe, is really important because it is an insulin modulator. Among other things, insulin modulator is one of them. So when vitamin D is low, your body doesn't handle insulin very well. So we need to correct that if it's low. So they, it's a wide range. They tell you between 30 and 100, you're fine, right? I think you should really be at about 50 on your serum vitamin D levels, and you can check that on they can check that on the lab and see. The thyroid can be a little tricky. So most people will check TSH and free T4, and if your TSH is below 5, they think you're fine. I think you're better off between a 1 and a 2 on your TSH. And then your free T3, often not checked, but really important, because if that number is low, it throttles down. In my experience, it throttles down your weight loss on these drugs. So it's important that your thyroid is well balanced. And if it's low, either you need iodine replacement, and if that doesn't fix it, then they probably need to treat that thyroid. Okay. Thyroid antibodies, not the end of the world, but important to know because they're a sign of inflammation and you do need to address that if it's there. Ferritin is a marker for iron. If it's low, you do need to do some iron replacement with that. And if the number is below 50, I would pay attention to that. So fix your deficiencies before you even start. Okay. And this helps reduce all those side effects that we went over. If you've already started, that's fine. Go ahead and fix the deficiencies anyway. And I would just wouldn't increase the dose and give my body time to catch up with the deficiencies if I'd already started the medication. Okay, for at least about a month, and then I would continue increasing the dose if I needed to, using if the physician says that, of course. So this is a biggie: abdominal dysbiosis. I see this because of eating processed food that has a lot of pesticides or chemicals in it, the red dye 40s and all of it, and also gluten. A lot of people are gluten sensitive, okay, because the wheat in the United States, especially, is hybridized. So you'll see a lot of abdominal dysbiosis in this country. At the recording of this video, I'm in the United States, that's why I keep saying that. That being said, this can be resolved by obviously cleaning up your diet, for one. Second, really good probiotics, and third, L-glutamine powder. So a scoop of that once a day for about 14 days will help ease this. And then just don't eat the bad food. And if you're on this medication, that's not going to be a hard thing to do anyway. Okay. Hydration, huge. Um, we all need to drink water, but very much so when you're on this medication, because again, a lot of metabolic changes happening in the body. And we need water to help with detoxification. So drink filtered water, and an added bonus, put some electrolytes in it. You can get electrolyte tablets or the little powders and the little, electrolyte pouches or whatever. Put that in your water. First of all, it makes it tastier. Second, it helps the body get the electrolytes it's probably not getting from the reduced caloric intake that you're taking. Okay. Protein shake. Referring back to the loss of muscle. Okay. This helps because at a minimum, if you're doing a protein shake a day, you're at least getting 22 to 25 grams of protein a day. If you mix that with unsweetened almond milk, even better, right? If you're not allergic to it. This helps give the body at least, at a minimum, 25 grams of protein a day. Because as you're reducing your caloric intake, people don't want to eat protein. it seems to me. So the protein shake is a good thing to have in there. Now, added bonus, put veggie powder in it or some fruit powder in it as well, just to make sure you're getting even more nutrition in your body. And it also helps in the alkalinity and detox. As again, we're going through a lot of metabolic changes on these medications. Finally, exercise, right? You may not even want to do it because you may feel like you're tired or you don't have energy. That's fine. Do what you can. Walking helps. Some weight training helps. You can even do this at home. Squats, bicep, tricep, hand weights, anything helps. I would do a little bit of weight training at least 3 times a week because I want to maintain my muscle. And then the other 3, 4 days, I would walk, okay, at a minimum. If you have a rebounder at home, that also helps because we want to move the lymphatic system again to help detox the body. Okay. So the daily supplements, my recommendation here is my summary: vitamin D3 plus K2. Again, that's dosed based on what your serum level is. If you're under 30, you will, on your vitamin D serum, you may want to at least do 5,000 international units a day with food. A B complex, like I mentioned, magnesium, about 200 to 300 milligrams at bedtime. It also helps with constipation. But there are a lot of biochemical pathways in the body that need magnesium just to function. And we don't find that in our food supply anymore, at least in the United States. So you may want to add that to your repertoire. Iron, about 25 milligrams of iron biglycinate if you have low iron or you're anemic. Or bodybuilder, which is plant-based if you have more constipation from iron and you want to prevent that, so use the plant-based form. Okay. And finally, I added this as a bonus, which is N-acetylcysteine. It's a phase 2 liver detox. It helps the liver because it becomes a super antioxidant, um, also called glutathione, right? About 500 milligrams to about 700 milligrams works. And we just need this to even support the system more as we're going through all this detox. So it's been my experience that patients that do this protocol have less side effects while they're on these medications. Um, Worthy of mention, dairy. This can be a very painful experience if you eat cheese while on these medications. For some reason, it really hurts. I'm not sure what the science behind that is, but I would skip the cheese or any saturated fat. Okay? Fried foods, these hurt as well. And also they increase inflammation, so skip it altogether. Now, when you're on this medication, the hunger hormone, ghrelin, is not as powerful. You're not as sensitive to it. It is easier to say no on this. I also encourage people, if you ever wanted to learn and do intermittent fasting, this is the time while you're on this medication, because it is easier to train your body to do that because that hunger hormone is not as powerful. Okay. Sleep. Um, Again, this is the time your body heals and rests. Your body's going through a lot of work while you're on this medication. So 8 hours of sleep at night would be great if you can get it. Okay. And finally, and most importantly, in my opinion, is for those of us out here that are emotional eaters, this is the time to lean in and heal whatever that is inside you that causes us to do this, because we don't want to regain this weight back, right? So if there's unhealed issues, inner child issues, this is the time to heal them, lean in, because you can't eat them away anymore. So talk therapy is encouraged, affirmations, curate your social media. There's a lot of therapists, especially on Instagram, that put in pointers on how to heal this different modalities, EFT, whatever you need to do. I would do that, and you could eventually, wean off of this drug and keep the weight off. And I encourage you to do that. So, in conclusion, I think semaglutide and tirzepatide are wonderful drugs. I think they are really helpful right now to deal with insulin resistance, which also leads to diabetes and heart disease, like I mentioned. So I'm a big fan of these. I hope the information here helped you. If you've been struggling while on this drug, I hope this helps you. If you were thinking and getting on it, or you and your provider were talking about it, I would probably, make sure the deficiencies were fixed before I got on the drug so I could be more successful. All right, guys, that's it. I will see you on the next one. Thank you for listening. Subscribe, like, share.